Hello and welcome to Great Deltan. Today you join me at the start of something which I've been looking forward to getting on with since I first began this layout, and that is the mainline station build. The station will be a very modern era station, and that's going to include several scratch built features such as the canopy and the main station building. I plan on fully lighting this layout with lights on the platforms in the building and on the canopies as well, and adding a lot of detail to it. As you can see, the platforms are already complete. The station has 5 platforms, platform 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We have 3 bays and 2 running through lines. Platform 1 is the longest platform, being able to fit a full 9-car Pendolino unit in. Platform 2 fits around 6 or 7 coaches. Platform 3 about the same. Platform 4 and 5 are for the DMU, so they're considerably shorter, fitting roughly about 3 coaches on 5, and you can just about squeeze 4 on number 4. I'll be basing a few of the features of my station from Rugby Station in Warwickshire, such as the canopies and the platform surface, which I've already completed to match those canopies, and some features of the station building will also feature some aspects seen at Rugby train station. So the plan really is to have canopies up to about here and here, as you never see full canopies along the whole platform. It's just not viable with the expense. And then there should be 2 footbridges up here leading to a raised station building. At the front will be a car park, sorry, no it won't, it will be a bus stop and taxi area for drop-offs. And then down here we shall see a raised road coming down to the town scene cutout, which you probably might recognise. And then between this road and the station will be a large car park. The station build will actually be split into 4 sections and subsequently 4 videos. Part 1 will look at the canopies, the footbridges and all of the platform details. Part 2 will look at the station interior and the drop-off zone and bus stops. Part 3 will look at the actual main exterior scratch built building of the station, and part 4 will look at the car park and the raised road. So today is part 1, which will look at the canopies, the footbridge and the platform details. To start with, I'm going to be installing the footbridges, which will take passengers from platform level to the building. To do that, I'm going to be using the Metcalfe N scale footbridge. However, I'm going to be modernising it a bit, as it does look quite old and it'd be suited for more older stations, so I'll be trying to make it look a bit more modern. What I have here is some corrugated sheeting and some brick card sheeting, which I'll be lining the outsides with to make it look a little bit more modern. And then on the inside I will be adding some lights. These are nano LEDs from Small Scale Lights, a website which I am becoming increasingly pleased with of all their products, and I've used a lot of their lights upon the layout. So I'll leave a link in the description to their website if you want to check out their products. They're great for Engage because they do really small scale lights which can fit into a lot of places. So yeah, we'll get on with this build now then, and then we'll join you when that's all finished and we'll see how it looks. So that's the footbridges now completed. What I've done is I've stuck some brick card on the bottom here, some corrugated sheeting on the side to give that more modern effect. Something I've also added is these yellow indicators on certain steps, which you see in a lot of stations nowadays. That's to indicate where there's a beginning or the end of a passage of stairs, and also so people can see a lot better in the dark so they don't trip up. These lights will just need wiring in and cables routing a bit more discreetly than that at some point. But overall I'm quite happy with how that's turned out. I've just gone over the bottoms and some of the corrugated sheeting with some weathering powder to give it a bit of a dirty down effect, though I need to blend that a little bit more as it's quite outstanding at the minute. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that, so we'll move on to the canopies next. As said in the intro, the canopies will be based upon the ones at Rugby. A couple of reasons for this. Number one is that they look very modern. They're very they're just made up of a lot of tubing. They suit curved platforms really well as well, so that's something I like about them. And for the best part of the 2010s, Rugby Station was operated by Virgin Trains, so they hold the Virgin Trains colours, which is something I'll be doing with this station as well. It's mimicking the fact that it's operated by Virgin Trains, so I'll be going with a lot of their colours. So I'll pop a picture in now of the canopies so you get a feel of what they look like. To start with, I'm just going to be making a lot of the upright sections and the cross beams between them. This is so I can just get an idea for where the canopies will go and get a footprint, and then I can put all the other platform details around and then continue afterwards, as opposed to having to build the canopies and then try and reach around everything to put all the small details in. So I shall just show you on the picture what I mean. So we've got the upright beam and the cross sections between them. So I'll just be doing all those sections first, and then we'll move on to the roof and diagonal bits afterwards. I should be constructing the roof using primarily evergreen plastic rodding, which I've got from Hatton's, to scale the best I can with the thicknesses of the rods, and then I'll move on to the roof afterwards, which I'll be making out of corrugated sheeting and cardboard. In the canopies will be some strip lights. I'll be using warm white colour, and they'll be dimmed down with a resistor, but we'll have 2 strips of lights on each side of the canopy, so it should be a nicely lit station. After a little bit of trial and error, I've finally got the first section made up. So what I'm going to do is probably just make a load of these, and then they can go in. I can stick them all together, and that'll create the upright sections. So we've got the 2 reinforcement bars here. I have put another bar along the bottom here. This doesn't actually occur at Rugby Station, it's just these triangular shapes on the top bar. But for structural reinforcement of the model, I have put another bar at the bottom just to make it a bit stronger. So I'm going to make a few of these up. I think I need about 31 altogether, and paint them all up, and then these will be the first sections to go in. I have made up this template so all of the sections are exactly the same size. I'll just put a rod in the top, and then a rod in the bottom, rod at the side, and then these 2 bits of cardboard. Make sure that the reinforcements are virtually in the middle of the rod, so we get a nice even finish each time, and all the sections are exactly the same and as right angled as they can be. So for the main upright, I'm going to be using 2.5mm rodding. If you've never cut evergreen plastic rodding before, or any type of polystyrene rod, then there's a few ways to do it. The way it works for me is I measure it, and then I score the outside of it with the sharp scalpel, and then it'll just snap off, and you usually get a nice flat edge as well. The problem with using angled cutters is that while one piece will be flat, the offcut will be at a point, so you'll have to cut it again to use it, whereas you usually get nice square cuts with this. So I'll just pop that there. For the cross sections, I'm using 1.5mm. And for the small reinforcement bars, I have some 1mm. These cross sections are, sorry, they're 2mm, not 1.5. With these middle bits, it's usually a bit of trial and error. Sometimes they're too long. I tried to cut them about 25.5mm, which usually puts them at a right angle, but they can be too long every now and then, or not go in at all. Come on. So once everything's in place, I have some poly cement with a needle dropper, and I'm just going to drop a little bit on each joint, which will bring it together. And then in about 10 minutes that'll be dry. I can take that out and move on to the next piece. This is one of the nearly completed painted ones, just as a test sample to see how they'll look. I've got some sort of virgin chains red going on with the uprights, and then just the generic grey colour for the cross beams. I'm going to try and attempt to put the little silver ring that goes around the upright, and then there's a little collar which goes in this joint at the top here, which is just a bit of red. So just for a bit of extra detail, I'll try and get that in, and then we'll get them all painted up and stuck in. Another reason I wanted to get the uprights done first is because a lot of the platform details, like the station signs, exit signs, departure boards, clocks, etc., will be mounted upon this frame. Right, here are all of the completed canopy sections ready to go in now. I have achieved the silver ring around the uprights by using some frog tape. It was a bit delicate, but it got done in the end, and I've painted a little red collar on all of them. You join me with the return of the Thunderbird 57 back from repair, and it's also now DCC fitted. These 57s are quite easy to fit with a decoder. They're not DCC ready, but they are DCC friendly. So they've got 8 pins, well, 8 terminals on the PCB, which you can solder the decoder wires to, along with the Pretendolino set. Anyway, back to the station. Along with these, I have printed and made some small signs. I've got some platform numbers, some departure boards, some clocks, some way out signs. And these are going to be mounted on the side of a lot of these struts, as so, like that. And then they'll go in once they've all stuck these to them. Make it a lot easier to stick these to the sections while they're flat and off the station. So that'll be the next job, and then it'll be to stick all of these in. These are just made using Microsoft PowerPoint. I've just made these up in a sort of Virgin Trains colour, printed them out, and then stuck them to some thin plastic card. Welcome back. All the initial sections of the canopies are now in, so the uprights and the cross sections. If I put the camera here, you can see how well the signs work on the side of the posts with the platform numbers, departure boards and clocks. Over here I've added some cross sections just to strengthen the canopies by attaching them to the retaining wall. Over here I've done one test of the outright bits which support the roof. They're just done in two sections made with another template. I'm not going to do all of those right now. What I'm going to do next is stick down some details which go directly under these sections. So when these are all in, it'll be difficult to actually put those in. So if I do them now, then I won't fiddle around with trying to reach under there and risk breaking it. So these are some of the details I have prepared ready. We've got some fencing for the end of the station to stop trespassers. Sorry, just excuse the cat. We have some advertising posters which I've made on PowerPoint and then just printed out and stuck to some plastic card. Just your generic modern posters. Of course we have a coronavirus poster there. My printer isn't the best with quality, but it's just sufficient enough to understand what's actually going on in the posters. We've got Chernobyl, one of my favourite shows. Some of the local stores like the Halfords and Aldi, Screwfix up there, Avengers, McDonald's, just your and of course Virgin trains, going with the theme of the station, just of course your generic modern posters. Over here we've got some station signs. Some of these will be mounted and some of these, as you can see, I've put some legs on, and that's just done using the rodding that was left from the scale model scenery line side signs kit. We've got some grit and salt bins from scale model scenery which I had left over from the signal box area, some departure boards, information boards. We've got some benches, some modern seating. These are from PD models, and then I've painted them up into Virgin Trains colours of silver and red. We've got some bikes. These came with the Fowler bus stop kit and the bike racks which I used over the other station, so I just painted a couple of these up. Got some ticket machines which come not painted, so I've done my best job on them. They're not the best, but they'll be quite hidden. And some right to travel machines. And then we've got some people. So we've got 3 packs of the more detailed people, but because it's nearly £1 a figure, well, it's actually more than £1 per figure on these, I've only bought 3 packs, and then I'm going to integrate them with some of the less detailed Chinese made bulk people. And then what I've got here is a pack of the Scenecraft station figures, and I've painted their jackets in Virgin Trains red as to go with the uniform. I did have another guy who was pushing a sack barrow, but unfortunately he came victim to my shoe when I dropped him on the floor and accidentally stepped on him, so he is no longer with us. And some spare people I had from a previous pack of undetailed people. So that's what I'll be getting on with next, just sticking some of these details down directly under these sections, and then because I need the space to glue these in place and probably something to hold them up while they're drying, I'll leave the edges of the platform clear, and then once all of those are done, which is going to take a very long time to do, I shall complete the platform details. Well, that is a lot of the details initially in, just to go directly under the canopies for the areas that are going to be hard to reach once the rest of the structure is finished. So what I'll do now is I'll get on with these sort of triangular pieces which hold a majority of the roof. Again, what I've been doing is I've created a template, so every single piece will be the same, and this is at least just made of 3 sections of rod as opposed to the first bits which are 5. However, I calculated I'm going to need roughly about 99 of these. So it's going to take a little while, and I'm not going to film me putting them all on because it just take a while to build the whole thing. But I'll build all these up, paint them, stick them on, and then we'll move on to the rest of the details, which include the lampposts and detailing all of these areas here. Welcome back. For me it seems like a very long time since we last spoke. For you, obviously very different. It's taken a very long time to get to this point. I think I ended up having to make over 100 of those small triangular sections, one at a time, so I'd use the same template so they'd all be exactly the same. They were rather difficult to stick on. I ended up having to use super glue so they'd dry quick, as it's very difficult to find something to hold them in the exact position I wanted them. So there's quite a lot of white marks. There's a lot to do still. This video is getting quite long, so I'm just going to wrap up the next jobs I'm going to do into one big montage, and that should hopefully take us to the end of the canopy sections. But I'm really happy with how they look so far in comparison to rugby. I think they look spot on. They're very detailed, they're very complex, they look the part, they look modern, so no complaints really. They all went together fairly well in the end, and I think you'll agree this is one of a kind canopies in the world of N-gauge model railways. So the next job will just be to go over some of these sections with the grey paint which I actually used to colour them all in, well, to airbrush them in. Some of them were a bit thin with the airbrush because it was quite runny, and some of them have been splodged with super glue which has dried and stained it quite lightly, so I'll be doing that next. After that I will be, in terms of canopies, I've got some strip lighting here. These are just 12 volt DC LED strip lights which I got from the Layouts for You. I'm going to reel them out, stick them in the canopies, and then I'm going to dim them down with a 2 kilo ohm roughly resistor, so they're nice and dim so they don't blind anyone in the station and make for bad camera shots. I'm going to add a slight coat of paint to the strip lights so they're not as standing out, because when you are at platform level you'll be able to look up and see them quite badly, and I don't want that. So I did a test with the cut-off piece, and I can add a little bit of paint to them, not too much to make them hot and overheat. I mean, they'll be drawing less current anyway because they're on a resistor, but I still don't want any damage. So I'll be painting them in the same colour as the ceiling. On top of the strip lights will be plasticard. I've already started doing it here. There is a length of strip lights under there which I did for a test. So I'll be lining the platforms with plasticard. This is just some brick sheet which I used because that's all the spare plasticard I have. And then on top of that will be these corrugated sheets which I'm currently painting and drying at the minute. So I will line the corrugated sheets on top, and then we shall have a sort of nice roof structure then. I'll do the same here, strip lights, some plasticard, and I'll paint it grey on the bottom so facing downwards it will look dark, and then on top will be the corrugated sheeting. After that, I have the rest of the details to add on the barren sections of platform, and also at the edge of the platforms under the canopy. So we've got all the station posters, station signs, a few more benches to put in some detailed people, some not so detailed people, some lampposts, and something I forgot when I was doing the original details is some bins. Now bins are quite hard to find if you want to buy them in bulk, so what I've done is I've taken some M4 grub screws and just painted them, well, in the process of painting them in Virgin Trains red. They make for quite a good size for bins actually, so if anyone wants to nick that idea, that's definitely a good thing to do. So yeah, I'll get on with all this now, probably take quite a while, and then we shall see the finished result. Well, here we are. It's taken a very long time and I've put a lot of effort and patience into this, but the results speak for themselves. Thank you if you're still here. I understand this has been a rather long video, but I think the results have been quite a reward, so hopefully they have been for you too. I've wired in all of the lampposts and all of the canopy lights. I've put a resistor on them of 1.5 kilo ohms. That's brought them down to a nice brightness as to not glare the camera. The roof was done using each individual bit of corrugated sheeting, so I was able to achieve the slight curve that fits all the platforms. And yes, I'm really happy with how it's turned out, to be honest. I can't make any complaints. The detail is quite good and the lighting just brings it all together. So what I'll do now is I'll just finish with a couple of running shots and a couple of photos, and then it'll be a little bit of a break from the station as I've spent quite a lot of time on this recently. So a bit of time with the family, I'll have a running session, and then I'll be back for part 2, which will look at the station interior and the bus stop and drop off taxi zone. So once again, thank you for watching Great Deltan. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, albeit rather long, and I'll join you for another video soon. Bye bye.